Welcome to Moab, Utah, where today we are going to be bringing out the big guns and painting some large-scale gouache paintings. Gouache is quite often known as this sketch medium, small, petite, and painted on the inside of a sketchbook roughly the size of your wallet. But today I'm going to give you 5 reasons that gouache is actually an amazing medium to start painting large scale. The first of these is that despite being thought of as an opaque watercolor, to be painted in big chunky brush strokes that hardly even leave your paintbrush before they start to crumble into textured glory, gouache can be used as though it was pretty much watercolor. All you need to do is add a decent amount of water and you'll be covering large surfaces with a surprising efficiency. While this is going to feel quite different from your previous chunky painting gouache process, adding this ability to paint transparently with lots of water is going to bring a really well-rounded flexibility to your working process and allow you to tap into those skills and effects that have been developed by watercolor artists for hundreds of years. The really good news is that at any point, you can flip that proverbial switch and start to treat it again as your classic thick gouache that you've come to know and love. All this is to say that painting quick and large will give you that perfect opportunity to play with those watercolor-like tendencies that you've always been a little bit afraid to master. Secondly, gouache layers in a way that almost no other medium does. It's like having an artistic undo button. Make a mark too dark? No problem. Make it too light? That's okay, we'll just paint over it again. Unlike watercolor, where you're constantly playing this game of protecting the white paper at all costs, or acrylics that lock down faster than a bank vault, gouache lets you dance back and forth between light and dark like a painfully time traveler. This means that when you're working on a massive piece like this, you're not stuck in this high-stakes game of, oh, I really don't want to mess this up. Instead, you can build your painting layer by layer, letting your intuition guide you, rather than being held hostage by the necessity of a rigid plan. Want to change your mind? Might not be a good idea, but, gouache is here for you. Go for it. Thirdly, and you might not believe me in this at first until you try it, but a lot of gouache and watercolor effects actually become a lot easier when working large. It's true. So it's easier to let those wet and wet brush strokes create soft transitions or gradients to happen naturally without having to try and control the life out of it when they're painted large. It's easier to create big, beautiful brush textures that both communicate the subject matter and don't compromise on it still looking just like a brushstroke. In a way, it is a matter of size. A small painting requires a smaller resolution and gives you less room to paint with bravado. Painting large, however, means that your brushstroke is going to appear relatively tight, even if it's painted like a madman attacking the paper. You won't get a brushstroke that looks like John Singer Sargent or Soroya if you're painting small. They didn't paint small. So give it a go. You might just have to try this out to believe me, but it's true. Your effects and your brushwork just have more room to breathe when you're painting large. Next, when you're used to painting small, doing something that might cover even just twice as much as you're used to is going to be filled with timidity and fear because it's out of your comfort zone. If everything you've ever done to this point has been the size of a matchbox, a brushstroke the size of a shoe is going to be filled with reticence. And this emotional state will be evident to anyone who sees your painting. So pushing into an uncomfortably larger painting and getting comfortable at scale will completely change the way that you paint when you get back to painting on a small page again. Not only that, but one of the biggest critiques that I have to give again and again is the need to mix more paint. I can't tell you how many people just need to mix more paint, even just for smaller paintings. So bringing your practice to this size, to this uncomfortable size, is going to make you comfortable with mixing more paint. So while we're traveling to the next painting location and you're waiting for that final reason to paint large, let me tell you about my 8-week online advanced gouache class, where we use one of the weeks to talk about the skills and strategies for painting large like this. This comprehensive 8-session course unlocks the secrets of this versatile medium, turning common pain points into powerful techniques. You'll master everything from predicting the value and saturation shifts to creating dramatic effects learning battle-tested strategies that I've developed through years of painting. Whether you're painting intimate sketches or bold landscapes, you'll discover why gouache is perfect for both plein air and studio work. And best of all, you'll learn to paint confidently at any scale, using both thick and transparent techniques that combine the best of watercolor and oils. This isn't just another painting course, it is your roadmap to making gouache work for you, backed by complete, concrete strategies that you won't find anywhere else. All right, so we made it back to Dead Horse State Park in Utah to work on another large painting. Today I'm working at 22 by 30 inches, and I'm working on a 300-pound Arches cold press paper. When I'm working this large, I like to work on really thick paper, and then I tape it onto the backing sheet of cardboard that comes with that pack of paper. This makes sure that the paper doesn't sag with gravity once it gets really, really wet. But otherwise, 300 pounds is pretty thick. You might actually be fine without it. Back to the reasons to go out and paint large. This is the final reason, and it's pretty simple. And it's just that it's impressive. Not even in skill or status, though those might be involved, but there's just something about a physically large painting that is satisfying to the artist and to the person viewing it. The same part of us that looks into the Grand Canyon, there's a small fraction of us that looks at a large painting and taps into that sense of awe. I'll just leave you with this last quote by artist Mark Rothko, who says, "I paint very large pictures, precisely because I want to be very intimate and human. To paint a small picture is to place yourself outside your experience. However you paint the larger picture, you are in it."